Hello, Mrs. G. Kim. This is Ms. Tatiana Kam Chang, who is a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, also known as RCIC. I am sending you this video regarding your service agreement for the student permit, which we discussed last time during the consultation. So I sent you the document already, but I also wanted to send you the video to explain to you a few things regarding the service agreement. And of course, if you have any more questions, feel free to ask me. So the Article 1 of the service agreement speaks about the language of communication. The language we will be using throughout this procedure for the study permit and visa will be English. I know your background is from South Korea, but I don't speak South Korea, so we will be sticking to English as the main language of communication. And of course, if you need a translator and interpreter throughout the procedure, please feel free to hire one, and I'll be able to discuss your immigration procedure with them as long as you give me an authorization to do so. Article 2 of the service agreement speaks about the purpose and the scope of this agreement that we have, you and I. And it's for a student permit and visa application, so that it covers the scope. Of course, we might have to do admissions first and possibly get a letter of authorization as well from the province, it's a new rule that was established in 2024. But the main objective is to get a study permit and visa application for you. And CICC, they have a new mandate whereby RCICs are not obligated to do the admissions for the client. So that means you might have to do your admission yourself, or if I choose to do it, that will be at my own free will. I would not charge you for that because the new CICC mandate does not permit RCICs to charge for admission letter. Only RISIAs can do that. However, so if I choose to do that, it will be from my own accord and it will be a free service I'll be providing. But that will be needed to get the study permit and the visa. Article 3 speaks about like just definitions of, you know, what is the client, what is the meaning of IRCC, what is the meaning of CICC, you know, and it just helps you understand the context of every discussion that we'll be having moving forward throughout the process. Article 4 speaks about the obligations of the RCIC, so my obligation towards you, and it will basically be to prepare the forms and the documents required to submit both the admissions and also the visa application, and to prepare you to help you prepare for like video interviews if necessary, and for your admission process, and to make sure that you get the best value for your money based on the school that you'll be attending. So making sure that you meet the eligibility requirements prior to applying to the school, and making sure that you stand a strong chance of being admitted. And then after that, it will be to make sure that the MBA School of Business, Saunders Business School in British Columbia, they actually offer the program that you want, and to determine what the tuition fee will be and make sure that you can actually afford it. And then the next part will be submitting the study permit application, gathering the necessary documents and the forms, which I might need your help to fill out because you are the one who has most of the information, especially regarding family information and personal information. So we will be filling out the forms together just so that everything is clear and there's no confusion. And then I'll be the one to book you for your biometrics appointment, your medical appointment at the VFS office in South Korea, if you choose to apply from there as the location where you're applying from. But if you choose to apply from within Canada, then I'll do the necessary precautions to apply from within the nearest office to you in British Columbia. And then it speaks about my responsibilities to you towards the billing information. I'm required to provide you with invoices for all the payments you'll be making for the service. And then Article 5 speaks about the client obligations, which is your obligations to me. The most important thing to remember is to submit all the documents submit them on time, and make sure that those documents are true, accurate, and complete. So there shouldn't be anything which is not in conformity with the law. So everything should be clean and should be accurate, right? Transparent information. And please try your best to always submit the documents within the time frame that I'll be giving you, so that we don't experience any delays. And then Article 6 speaks about the method of communication. So you and I will be communicating mostly by email through the email address support@ubiquimmigration.com, and I'm expected to reply your emails within 3 to 5 business days. That is on average. And I don't expect the communication to go over more than 500 messages or emails for these applications, and even the phone calls will be limited, because there has to be a limit to everything. But it doesn't mean that it cannot go above that. It just means that if it goes above that, I might have to charge extra for that. But within the scope of this agreement, that is how much number of messages and phone calls we will have, and the number of hours of phone calls. So that's what Article 6 speaks about, right? Article 7 speaks about the pathway that you've chosen, the specific pathway, which is a study permit and visa, and it's an option for a graduate student. So that is the specific option that was selected, which is graduate student, right? And then it provides additional information like, oh, I will be doing your admissions as well at the University of British Columbia, and I'll also make sure that you get your provincial attestation letter prior to submitting the visa application. So that's an additional task that I'll be doing. Article 8 speaks about the processing times. Processing times at the moment for student permit and visa is about 8 to 12 weeks according to the IRCC website, but just note that this time varies a lot based on the country of where you're applying from, and it also varies based on the volume of applications that IRCC is dealing with at that specific moment. Article 9 speaks about the cost of the application, which here the total cost will be $5,000. My service fees will be 4,365 Canadian dollars, and then the IRCC processing fee will be $150 for the application and $85 for the biometric. So the total cost expected from you is $5,000 overall. And then there's a mention that the tuition fees is extra, right? So anything that concerns the tuition fee at the MBA School of Business in British Columbia, that will be something you have to pay extra on top of this. And any other thing that concerns medical fees, possible language test fees, and ECA fees for to get your credential evaluation from the university in South Korea you attended, that will be extra fees as well. So just bear that in mind. I don't have the exact estimate of the cost at the moment. That is why I did not put that on the agreement, but just bear in mind that it will be your responsibility. So Article 10, Article 9C, again, for the contract, it speaks about the refund policy. So in what scenarios would you be eligible for a refund or not, right? So at what point in time will you be eligible for a refund, and for how much? So basically the refund will be assessed on a case-by-case basis, and it will be evaluated on a prorated basis based on the work that has been done already. So if not much work has been done, you might be refunded all your money, but if a lot of work has been done, that will be deducted, like my service fees, before you'll be refunded. And again, the refund will depend on if the application has been submitted already or not, right? Because of course, if the application has been submitted already, all the work has been done already, and as such you will not be eligible for a refund anymore. So it speaks about if you're not satisfied with the way the procedure is being done and everything, you can always refer to Article 13 below, which I'm going to discuss in a minute, right? But refunds are based on prorated basis, and also based on my discretion as the RCIC to evaluate how much work has been done already and how much will be deducted. Article 10 speaks about the payment schedule. It will be two-step payment where you pay $2,500 before the visa document checklist is sent to you, and you pay the other $2,500 before the visa application is submitted. So you're free to pay even in multiple payments, but the expectation is that all the $5,000 will be paid before the visa application is submitted. Article 11 speaks about the exchange rate in case you decide to pay in Canadian dollars, US dollar. What is the exchange rate that will be used? Article 12 speaks about the payment method. It mentions the client account, the Canadian bank account where you can wire the payments to, and either by bank wiring or by Interact e-transfer since you're in Canada at the moment. Article 13 speaks about dispute resolution in case you're not satisfied with the service and or in case you believe there's been a professional mistake. It provides the contact of the CICC, which is the appropriate authority to resolve conflicts, right? So you have their mailing address, you have their phone number and their email as well in that article. Article 14 emphasizes that there's no guarantee of outcome. So just by me accepting this service, I'm not promising that you're going to have your visa in Canada or that IRCC is going to approve your application. However, what I'm promising is that I will do my best as a competent professional to make sure that the application is submitted in its right merits and in a strong form so as to give you the best possible chances for your visa to be approved. Article 15 speaks about confidentiality and whether I will be authorized or not to disclose certain information to other people, but that will be only with your written consent. Article 16 speaks about conflict of interest. It doesn't really apply to you in this case because you're alone on the application, but this is a requirement from CICC that we have to include that as well in our service agreement. So, but we don't have to go too much into detail with that. Article 17 and 18 speaks about force majeure. If for whatever reason I'm not able to perform my task and the IRCC and submit your application, it could be based on acts of God, or it could also be based on my absence. I could be sick, or I could even be dead, God forbid. But what you have to do in that case is to contact my representative, which is Ms. Gunel Sotonova, and she'll be able to pick up from where I left and continue with your immigration procedure. Article 9 speaks about the change in immigration procedures. So if it happens that there's any changes in laws while immigration laws while we're doing this process, I will not be liable for that because I do not control the laws. However, I will notify you of that, and I'll inform you of how it can affect your eligibility, your documents, and even the cost of your application. Article 20, it speaks about like when the contract will be terminated, which is when the task has been performed, or when, if you decide to release me of my obligations, or if I decide to release you of your obligations, maybe because the application goes against the ethics of my profession. But regardless, it speaks of how we can handle like a termination of the contract in a way that is fair and appropriate to all parties. Article 21 speaks about how your documents will be conserved, which is usually a period of 6 years based on CICC mandate. We have to save your documents for 6 years. However, we always advise clients to collect all their documents, especially original documents, at the end of their procedure, just to make sure that you never know, something might happen to it. So just to be safe, it's always good to have all your documents and collect all your file as soon as your procedure is over. Article 22 just speaks about miscellaneous things as to certain details that doesn't necessarily fall in the other categories that have been mentioned. So Article 22 covers that. Article 23 speaks about the applicable law, which is the law of which is the code of ethics of licensees of the College of Immigration and Citizenship. And yeah, the law has been mentioned. It has been in vigor, in force since June 10th of 2022. So it speaks about that, and basically the end is about the signature, which says that you're of sound mind while you're reading this contract. You understand everything that has been said, you agree to it, and that you have been given the opportunity to get legal advice in case you don't understand anything. You have been given that opportunity, and if you haven't gotten legal advice, it's because you chose to waive your opportunity, your right to do so. But you understand everything, and after that, basically, you have a space where you can write your name, your signature, and put your date. I also went ahead and added a part for like emergency contact, so you can put your brother's name there as your emergency contact, his name, phone number, and everything, since he's living with you in Canada. Just in case at some point we are not able to reach you, at least we can get to your brother to reach him to know more about your whereabouts, right? Because life happens. You might lose your phone or something might happen. You might get locked out of your email. So it's always important to have an emergency contact where we can reach out in case we need to get information, or in case we need to either get documents, or in case we need to inform or provide updates regarding your application. So thank you very much for trusting me as your licensed immigration consultant, and thank you as well for trusting my company, Ubique Immigration Quest, to do your visa application to Canada. And I hope that with the understanding of this service agreement I sent to you, we'll be able to work peacefully and in harmony to make sure that we can achieve the objective that has been set forward. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.